Why, hello there. Happy Monday. It is Monday, February 10th, 2025, the day after the Super Bowl, which is now the unofficial start of the spring housing market. Who's excited? I'm excited. We should all be excited about that. Anyway, thank you for joining me this evening. My name is Jackie Baker. This is your weekly live dose of real estate reality, where we talk about all things real estate. And this week we are talking about the tariffs that have been imposed on Canada. Even though they're on pause, there's still concern about how this is going to impact the U.S. housing market. So, I had to bring a special guest on hailing from Toronto, Canada, because, we have to get the Canadians' perspective as well. So let me introduce to you, he's been on before, it's been a while, Mr. Stuart Nodell. How are you, Stuart?
Hi, Jackie. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I guess I'll have to charge you 25% more for being on tonight, being from Canada, right?
See, there you go. Okay. A little retaliation there. Okay. It's okay. It's all good. I still like you. It's all right. So anyway, I'm glad you were able to come on. And it was kind of last minute. I asked you the other day, but this is still a topic of discussion, and I thought it was important to address it. But I want to share the articles. So the first one I want to bring up was from Housing Wire, and it was sharing the concerns, especially from the National Association of Home Builders. And I want to bring that article up as well, what their concerns are with this, even though, again, it's a pause on the tariffs. If this does go through come March, how this is going to affect everybody. So let's bring them on. Hold on one second. Here we go. All right. This is from Housing Wire. This is a great resource. I use these guys a lot. So it says here, Trump paused the tariffs, but home builders still see a long-term risk. Home builders have more on the line than any sector of the real estate industry under Donald Trump's presidency, as the new administration's most aggressive policy positions directly impact the cost of building a home. Home builders heavily rely on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China, the three countries Trump has targeted for substantial tariffs. In addition, the president's promise of mass deportations has the potential to reduce the construction labor supply as undocumented migrants are either deported or go into hiding. So the pause on Canadian and Mexican tariffs allowed builders to breathe a sigh of relief, and the deportation operation doesn't yet to appear to have the impact that some feared. However, the short-term wins don't end the long-term risk that still loom as Trump settles into office. There isn't enough certainty. This said the National Association of Home Builders president, Jim Tobin. Are we going back in the same cycle a month from now? We're in a pause rather than either going forward with tariffs or doing away with them. So it just goes in here, breaks down that last weekend, he spooked the home builders and related markets by implementing 25% tariff on both Canadian and Mexican goods. But the tariffs weren't in place for very long. Trump paused the duties on both countries for 1 month after extracting minor concessions from Canada and Mexico. So let me go down here. So this I found interesting, Stu. It says here, builders stocked up on materials before Trump's second term. Trump's pro-tariff position has been telegraphed for 10 years, so builders have had ample opportunity to prepare. Builders bought lumber ahead of time to lock in lower prices should Canadian tariffs remain in place for a long period of time. This has resulted in an elevated lumber inventory as builders head into the spring season. A silver lining to the stagnant housing market that is that low demand caused by high prices and stubborn mortgage rates. The current inventory needs to be clear, and I'm not sure folks need that much in the near term. But a medium-term reset of what cheap lumber costs will likely be set $100 higher than pre-tariff. We are due for many, many more headlines around these tariffs. There's a very good chance we could trade on either side of $600. So, okay, now he's got he put the pause on it. Listen, we all know what happens. I mean, it may turn out to be nothing, right? This may all go away and we won't have this issue come March. But I'm curious to hear from your side, Stu. Like, how is Canada dealing with this? So you had mentioned before that this would affect your job market, correct?
Oh, 100%. If this really does go down, the way it's been proposed, then yeah, it would. And it probably, I've actually was at a conference last week where we had some economists, and really, the question was, one of the questions was, how long would it take for our job market to feel the impact of these tariffs? And they think in some segments it could be within probably a month or two, where we
Wow.
would see unemployment go from, let's say, a level of now, which is at about 6.5% locally in Toronto. It could double up to over 12%.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so that's fearful from our perspective. Um,
Right.
so there's so, but like you just mentioned, and I think that's a lot of sentiment. People are taking it seriously here, and what's interesting is this is sort of galvanized Canadians. We're sort of looking at ourselves as like we need to be more nationalistic. We're looking at why are we not more diversified? Why we've put all of our eggs in the American basket. You're our neighbors, our biggest trading partner. So I
Yep.
think it's businesses are now starting to really look at what other markets can we be doing business in, and
Right.
and we'll see what happens over time. There are some that feel like this is all just a negotiating tactic and ploy. Keep
Mhm.
threatening these tariffs. You kind of create chaos, and people react by panicking. But I think unfortunately, I mean, both sides will be hurt. There's no doubt we'll be hurt, but I think the Americans are going to be hurt as much or more, which is kind of
Oh, I know.
interesting.
I know. I mean, if they do go through, yeah, it's gonna get more expensive for sure. I mean, I was happy to read that they did stock up on a lot of lumber and, to carry us through until to get us through so they won't be that expensive, these homes. But the other thing I wanted to bring up that you just brought to my attention before we came on tonight is that he also added the tariffs. He's gonna be slapping the tariffs on steel and aluminum. These are more building products that we're gonna need. And, you know, look, I get what he's doing. He's trying to, it's a negotiation tactic, right? He's trying to get things done and, protect our borders. That's what it comes down to. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if these things do go through, it's expensive as hell for people to buy a home now, and it's just going to get worse. And the mortgage rates aren't coming down by that much. They don't anticipate them coming down much this year. So now what? Now our whole housing market could just be at a standstill until things calm down, until these tariffs go away. Um, that's what I think. I think it's just gonna come into like, if they happen, the tariffs go through, it's gonna be a complete standstill. No one's gonna buy a house. That's just how I see it. But yep.
Well, I don't know if
Um,
you feel it or what you're seeing. Like I know in my marketplace, yeah, it is very much like last year, where a lot of people
mhm.
just put a lot of their moving plans on hold. Our interest rates have been up. Where we're different is our interest rates have started to be cut, and
Oh,
they're talking about another percent at least through this calendar year. So we have seen consumer confidence come back, and transactions start to proceed. But I think this is definitely going to cause people to question if now's the right time to transact. And
yeah,
who could blame anybody, right? Unless, I mean, life happens, so people move for different reasons. But I,
right.
I think that's the position that at least I'm seeing right now. But yeah, our rates have been going down, and so we're a little bit different than you guys.
Yeah, so I know you explained this to me the last time you were on. How does the process work in Canada with buying a house and getting a mortgage? Because it's different from here.
It is. I mean, really, what's probably the biggest difference would be the fact that you guys can get like fixed term mortgages for, say, 30 years or
Right.
25 years. Our mortgages, we get our fixed rate mortgages we can get, but they're amortized over, let's say, typically it would be 5-year fixed is very common, or you can get a
Mhm.
3-year fixed. You can get up to about 10-year fixed. But what that means is at the end of that 5-year cycle, we'll say you've got to renegotiate with the bank based on where rates are at that time.
Okay.
So it does give you security for those, say, to 3 to 5 years. But in American, when you guys buy a house, you could be starting out as a young family saying, I'm taking on this big mortgage, but I know what my budget is going forward. It's not going to be any
Yes.
worse than this. We
Right.
don't have that luxury. Like people, that's where a lot of the issues have happened over this last, I'm going to call it 18 months in Canada, is that people were buying in where rates were at all-time lows. Like they were getting mortgage rates at 1.5% to 2% on a fixed, and now some of those rates are now coming to maturity. So now they're going to be
Yeah.
going in at, we'll call it, I'm seeing people get between 4.25% and 4.5%. So you're over doubling what you were
Oh
paying
my
at
God.
before. So
Wow.
if you were buying at your max qualification, now you're facing the reality of, can we afford the extra cost in mortgage payment, let alone the cost of living. So in this 25 and 26, or I think there's like 80% of Canadians with mortgages are set to renew um, in these next 2 years. So it's going to be a really interesting dynamic. People are expecting our market to get saturated, but it's not really like freehold housing. So you own a 2-story single detached family home, or a bungalow. You guys call them
Yeah.
ranch
Yep.
style, I think. But if you have a house like that, they're still in high demand, low inventory.
Right.
Condos, it's like a dime a dozen. Like there's thousands of them. I think there's 8,000 condos on the open market right now in the Toronto Real Estate Board.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow.
And for context, it's typically about 2,500 to 3,000.
Oh my God. That's insane. So your mortgages up there, it's like the adjustable rate mortgage we have here, right?
Right,
So we have,
right.
yeah, we did the ARM loans, right? So we have like a 5-1, 7-1, 10-1 ARM. So that's a standard up there. I can't believe that. Oh
And
my
we
God.
also, so what we would have it close to your arms would be what we call a variable rate mortgage. So it's kind of open. So but you can get a variable, which means it just goes with whatever we call it the Bank of Canada. You guys would call it
Yeah.
the Federal Reserve. Wherever those rates are set,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what they pay, probably plus maybe 1%, we'll call it. So like in today's world here, we're at, I think we just went down. So I think we're at 3.75. So you're probably going to get something in around 4.5, 4.75 in a variable
Wow.
rate. But if rates go up like they did, so this is where a lot of investors got caught out. Rates went up, so they were getting rates again at 1.5%, but overnight their rate jumped up to 7.5%, 8%. Exactly. See the look on your face? That's what they
Oh
were
my
having to
God.
to
Oh,
chew on.
wow.
So that's really where people got caught out. And the irony is today, in light of what's going on, most mortgage brokers now are advising people take the variable short term, because it's likely our rates will continue to go down, and then lock in when
Yeah.
if it gets down to like a 3.5 or 3%
Right.
rate, lock in there, go long term for 5 years, and then your payments are fixed for those 5 years.
That's great. Long term, 5 years. Meanwhile, we
Yeah,
have 30 year. Oh my God. I can't, that just like, I can't wrap my head around that. I can't. That's stressing me out.
yeah, and I
Oh
that's
my
what a
God.
lot of people here wish we had, that same uh, process that you guys have, like just a straight fixed term mortgage. It
Yeah.
would alleviate so much pressure, but that's not how it works.
That is just, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. Wow. Well, thanks for explaining that. So I just want to get to a couple of comments.
Sure.
We got the lively chat going again. So we have here, glad I bought last year. It's just going to get worse for the near long term. It's possible. It's possible. If these tariffs happen, it's going to get super expensive for a brand new house. Insurance rates are going to increase as the cost to rebuild will rise. Yes, Roger, that's another big concern too. The rise in homeowners insurance is it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Get ready. Hello, my friend David Matney. How are you? Thank you for being here. I haven't seen you in a while, David. Glad you showed up. What else we got? Carla, welcome. Any idea what the average profit margin is for a new home build? I don't know, honestly. I don't. I can look that up.
In Canada, I can tell
But
you, it's they're looking at anywhere between around 15 and 20%.
okay, okay. Well, it's not gonna be so great in the US if we have these tariffs. Um America is the hello, Eli. Thank you for being here. America is the only place a 90-year-old can get a 30-year mortgage. Ain't that the truth? It's so true. I had somebody ask me that recently. If they're like retirement age and they're like 67, can I get a mortgage? I'm like, yes, you can. As long as you got income, you sure can. Ivy Roses, it's not just the tariffs that will affect housing. He's trying to lay off thousands of federal employees, thousands upon thousands at the same time. No one will be paying mortgages. Well, look, let's hope this doesn't lead to anything more catastrophic, with people not paying their mortgages. Listen, I hear you. I totally, that is a fear. I heard a woman on the radio today said if we can get interest rates back down, everyone will be able to afford a home. No. We lower the interest rates, it's going to be a huge problem. What does that do? It brings back more buyers and more competition, driving the prices up. I hate when people say that. I really do. And they're like, I want rates to come back down. No, you don't. No, you don't, because the prices are going to go up. What else we got? Let me see. A friend of mine is a construction project manager, said a lot of construction workers aren't showing up to work. Really? MH, where are you located? I'm curious to hear where that is. Hello, Someday Defect. Welcome back. Wife's company builds senior living buildings in Colorado. They overstocked with wood from their Canadian supplier. She's the HR director and is also checking all I-9 documentation if ICE shows up. Wow. Well, I'm glad they overstocked the wood too from the Canadian supply. Just like that article said, a lot of them did that. They stocked up on all that lumber. All right. So, hi Zolita, how are you? Thanks for being here. Hi Christy, thanks for joining. All right, I'm gonna bring up. So Stu, I want to show the other. Where is it? This is from. Oh, MH, you're in Denver. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know that. All right, so the National Association of Home Builders, Stuart, they have they're requesting building material exemption from the planned tariffs against Canada and Mexico. And it's funny because the National Association of Home Builders, they've been they're constantly advocating, they're lobbying, they're trying to do everything they can to help make these homes affordable. And so far they've been happy with what's been going on in the new administration, with the exception of this. So now they're coming back and saying they have to exempt these products. So it says here, with President Trump announcing that he plans to impose 25% tariffs on Canadian Mexican goods, NAHB is urging the president to exempt building materials from the proposed tariffs because of the harmful effect on the housing affordability. Tariffs on lumber and other building materials increase the cost of construction and discourage new development, and consumers end up paying for the tariffs in the form of higher home prices. Bringing down the cost of housing will require a coordinated effort to remove obstacles to construction, be they regulatory, labor, or supply chain related. NAHB stands ready to work with you to accomplish these goals. However, we have serious concerns that proposed 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico will have the opposite effect by slowing down the domestic residential construction industry. So they're on board, not on board, but they're on board with trying to get this thing, get him to stop putting the tariffs on the products. I don't know how effective that's going to be. Again, only time will tell. It's going to happen come March, and if it does happen at all. So let's hope cooler heads prevail and the leaders can work something out, get some type of arrangement going, because I think it is going to be detrimental on both sides, and for you, Stuart, and for us here. So Charlton says, good luck on that exemptions. Listen, you can't knock them for trying. They're always out there advocating for the American consumers, right? They know that it's going to hit their pocketbook. So they're always out there advocating, but I don't know. We'll see. We could all be getting worked up over nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when he first put in the tariffs, I think the next day he crashed the stock market. So, I have to believe some of that influence caused him to pause this, because maybe they didn't realize that was going to be the immediate impact.
Well, he did pause it initially. He did pause it because both the leaders of Mexico and Trudeau, your guy, they all agreed that, okay, yeah, the priority was the border. They wanted to secure the border, which I get that, but I don't know. I think he's pausing it for now because he wants to make sure that that's going to happen. That's what I'm assuming. I'll be honest, I haven't read much more about that part of it, where they are with that, as far as, what they're going to be implementing to reassure that that border is secure, both on the Canadian and Mexican side. But you know, listen, this could all go away. I really hope it does, because it's really tough down here to afford a house. I have people reaching out to me just last week. I think I had 4 people reach out to me wanting realtor referrals for here in New Jersey, and their price points were around $400,000. And I'm telling them right off the bat, it's a very challenging price point you have, because it's so competitive. You got people that are cash buyers that are going to just blow you out of the water. And it really sucks, because 400,000 is like an affordable price here in Jersey.
Okay.
You're looking average, upwards, well over $500,000. I mean, upwards towards $1 million. A lot of towns, like where I am, like I was at a Super Bowl party last night, and someone asked me, the town that I live in, she's like, I can't believe this house down the street from us, this modern, whatever, 1950s, like mid-century modern house, not the most attractive looking house. It sold for $1.1 million. And she goes, how does that happen? I go, because there's nothing for sale. That's what happens. And I said, and everybody wants to live here because they're closer to the city. And she was just like in total disbelief. She's like, I can't believe they're selling for that much. I said, yeah, they are. And I hate to say it, I don't think the prices are going to go down. I mean, we might see a slight correction, but they'll never go back to pre-pandemic prices. So,
Right.
it's everybody's freaking out. Just
Yeah. No,
everybody's truly freaking out here. They are.
we
I
have a
don't
bit of
blame
the
them.
similar we have a bit of the similar challenge as well, where pricing has it is so far gone that it's not going back to a certain point. So that's hard
Yeah.
for people to accept, and I understand. I mean, anybody who has kids is worried about their kids' futures and the ability to afford houses, and where are they going to have to live, to all of these things, right? There's a trickle effect to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. They're like, I worry about my kids. I worry about all my friends' kids. How are they going to be able to afford a house one day? It's
Hmm.
going to be so challenging. And I appreciate, President Trump. I talked about it a while ago, about on one of my live streams. We talked about his plan to help make the housing affordable. He's talking about like cutting the red tape and all the extra regulations that builders have to go through, it adds more cost to the new builds. But then you have, the interest rate issue. And
Yeah.
people are locked into these low interest rates here. It's like, yeah, the 30-year mortgages. Oh yeah, they're great. But once you're locked in, no one's giving that up. That's
Yeah.
you got people like as low as 2.5% on a 30-year mortgage. They're not selling. They don't want to. They're like, why would they give that up to pay a 6% interest rate?
Now,
So
if they were
it's
to move up,
so challenging.
if they were to move up in that scenario, can they are the mortgages portable where they can take it with them
No,
to the new property?
nope,
No. Okay. Yeah.
nope,
Okay. So
no. So
that's
what?
different.
Yeah. So what some people are doing, if they have the cash, they'll try to hold on to the current home with the low interest rate, rent that out. Help
Right.
help
Leverage
pay
it.
that mortgage, exactly, and then buy something else. Um, but all the boomers here, like they don't want to sell.
Yeah.
I'm reading of boomers renovating their homes. They're putting additions on, and they're aging in place. We're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of that now, and multi-generational homes. So people are buying, kids are buying homes with their parents, and they're all living together. So
Yeah. That's the exact same mindset here. Exact
yeah,
same.
yeah, okay, good, all right. So we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey, living our lives. Welcome back. Glad you guys are here. Prices won't even begin to go down for another 17 months, and that will still be barely affordable for middle class working family. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's really frustrating. It really is. I've had a buyer I was working with. He had to put a pause on his search because the poor guy just kept getting outbid. Like I think he lost out on 6 houses. The last house that we lost out on, it had 30 offers. I'm like, what is this, 2020 again? That's what we're dealing with. When you're in that 400 to 500,000 price range in Jersey, forget it.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. Hello, my friend Clark. How are you? Clark, the realtor, is in the house. What else? We got a lot. Oh my gosh. We got a lot of conversation going on here, Jen. Prices ain't never going down. Well, yeah, listen, like I said, correction, and as I've said I say week after week, in certain states like Florida and Texas, there's a big correction going on there. Oh, so let me share this. So this is really sad. So in Texas, they're starting to see a rise in foreclosures because the property taxes are going through the roof down there. Like, no pun intended. But what happened was Texas is it's a non-disclosure state, meaning that when the home sells, they don't show it on Zillow, realtor.com. They won't tell you the sales price. Come to find out, somebody said that a deal was cut from the Texas multiple listing with, I guess, the government, state government. Like, I could, like, don't quote me on this, but there was some type of relationship that happened there. They cut a deal. Now they have access to all the sold prices on the multiple listing. And that's why all the towns are increasing their taxes. They're reassessing the properties now. And I talked to an agent in Texas. She told me this, and I said, well, how did they calculate the property taxes before? And she said, well, they kind of winged it. They had a special formula, and then that's how they assessed the properties and did the property taxes every year, adjusted the property taxes. But she said now they have access to all these new values, and now the taxes are skyrocketing, and now people can't afford it. Can't afford the property taxes. So it's just
Uh,
very, very sad. Very sad down there.
yeah,
Hello, Puerto Rico. Look at this. Market's basically the same, challenging. I'm sorry, Stu, what were you going to say?
our taxes, we do it here in the province of Ontario. We have what's called the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. So they do a phased-in approach. Every 4 years, property taxes get raised or evaluated, I'll say, based
Okay.
on it is based on sales and so forth, but the assessed value is always quite a bit lower than what the
Yeah,
actual market value of the property is.
right. Yep. So, well, same here. Same here. Like my house, yeah, I think it's assessed at like 640,000, but
Right.
market value, it's over 1 million, you know? But they're starting to do that here in my area, New Jersey. We got the letter in the mail that our taxes are going to, everything's going to be reassessed based on the current market values. So yeah, it's all
Yeah, and I
gonna,
mean, part of the bureaucracy in here, anyways, what you mentioned a little while ago about the bureaucracy with the cost of new housing. So here, that's part of the builders. They're always advocating and fighting with the governments that it's basically 30%. So based on development charges, all of the, and then you have different agendas because there's three layers of government. Federally, our federal government has very little impact or say on housing. It's provincial government that really sets the legislation and the policy. Then the municipal
really.
governments, yeah, the municipal governments kind of have their local development charges, infrastructure, things like that. So you have
Yep.
these three agendas. They don't all necessarily communicate together. And
Yep.
then, yeah, we have, so the builders just pass on that 30% increase. So again, you talk about housing not being affordable.
Yep.
And mostly like a lot of development has just stopped here. It's so we're going to have a major issue in probably the next 3 to 5 years when things, if they do improve, there's
Yeah.
just not going to be enough housing because they're not building anything because it's not profitable for them.
Well, that's what happened to us with the great financial crisis in 2008. That's why all the builders stopped. And that's why to this day, we still don't have enough houses because of that
Right.
problem. They all,
Yeah.
they all bailed. But, but no, to add to that, I got to take a step back. Yeah. We have the same issue here with the local municipalities, county governments. They do have their rules of what you can build, what you can't build. Um, but I saw a report where, I forget where it was, but they say with all of the fees that governments tack on to these builders with the regulations, it's like an additional $90,000 on top of what it costs them to build.
Oh,
So
that would be cheap here. But yeah, it's the development charges before a builder even sticks a shovel in the ground here for a house in Toronto is like
yeah,
$130,000. Just that's just to start. There's all kinds of other layers to this.
Oh
far,
my
like
God.
permitting and like there's all kinds of things that have to go on. So
Wow.
it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Dimitri says, I feel for those in California, Florida, North Carolina. It will be very hard for them to rebuild after the fire and water devastations. I know. I know. Because watch, they're going to put regulations on those houses too, whatever they build. It's going to be tough.
Isn't there a lot
Um,
of like self-insuring going on now down there in those parts?
Self-insuring, not that I'm aware of.
Like I thought it's
Um,
hard to get insurance for some of these
yo,
properties.
self-insuring. Yeah. Oh, it's like it's difficult. California, crazy enough, I read stories that like about a month before those fires broke out, insurance companies were dropping people's policies. I'm like,
Wow.
what the heck is that all about? Yeah, so it's really hard. Florida's a disaster when it comes to the insurance. I don't know how many. I know a lot of insurance companies have pulled out. I don't know how many are left there now, but their insurance rates are just they're astronomical. A lot of people are leaving Florida because of that reason. They can't afford it. Charlton says my county taxes increased 22% this year, and talking of reassessment, been 25 years since their last. Ooh, 22%. Yeah, well, they made up for those 25 years, didn't they? Good God. Good
Wow.
God. I wish we had the bidding wars here in Florida. I'm ready to sell my house. Getting ready to sell my house to move to North Carolina. Okay, so here's what I will tell you. If your house is priced well, I have agents down in Florida that I'm very friendly with, and they're telling me if your house is priced well, you will get multiple offers. It will sell quickly. So if you're working with a real estate agent, make sure you're looking at the comps, the most recent comps of what is sold, and price accordingly. Do not overprice your house. If you think your house is worth $1 million and that agent is telling you no, it's more like 750, listen to your agent. Just I beg of you, because if you don't, you overprice it, it will sit. And you don't want to be in that, you don't want to be chasing the market. You just don't want to do that because you're going to end up making a lot less money. Wanda says taxes and PR, the tax assessment based on the year 1959, exemption up to $150,000 for primary home. That's the huge difference here. I can't imagine doing it as the states do it. That's insane. Really? You're exempt up to $150,000? Where do I sign up for that? Like, that's a good deal. Oh my God, I love that. I didn't know Puerto Rico did that. Let me see here. Thanks, Jen. I was just going to say, pull up Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Long Beach, California. Lowering rates will increase inventory by all of us current owners with 3% mortgages who are in holding pattern. Will put houses on the market. Increase inventory stimulates market and lowers prices. Yes, I agree with you. I've been saying I think 5% interest rates are more realistic number for people to want to move. Okay, so if you're sitting on like a 3%, 3.5%, people can stomach a 5% interest rate versus what we got going on now, like close to 7%. So I think once we get in that 5 range, it'll definitely bring in more inventory. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Maddie, I saw a statistic that the average time to get permits for a home rebuild in LA is currently over 2 years. Oh, are you serious? Oh, that stinks. I feel for you guys. I really do. Yes, pricing is key. That is not the market to throw out crazy prices. If your agent is watching the market and giving you the data, trust and listen to your agent. Clark is just a man of wisdom. I appreciate you throwing these comments in here, Clark. You're awesome. But it's true. Do not chase the market. It's not worth it. When you overprice, that to me, I've turned people away when they're like they have a ridiculous number in mind. I'm like, no, we can't agree on a price. I'm not going to work for you because it's not going to sell. It's not going to sell. Look, yeah, do I need to make money? I do. But I also don't want to waste their time either. You know, if you're serious about selling, you got to go with the market. So,
Oh, you're not a magician, just a real estate agent?
and no, I know. You know, I wish. I mean, if I was a magician, if I was a psychic, I would not be here. I'd make a lot more money doing that. If only I wanted to move to Atlanta. Hey, Clark's in Atlanta, MH. If you want to move to Atlanta, he could hook you up. My solidarity to all the homeowners in California and other states that have suffered recent climate-related disasters. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Wanda. Yeah, it's very, very sad for these people. You know, I can't imagine losing your home. Hey, Terry. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Do new home buyers pay extra property tax if they purchase MUSD one MUSD house in New Jersey? I'm not sure what MUSD is, but we don't pay extra property tax. I mean, you're going to pay a lot in property taxes, but when you sell your house in New Jersey and you move out of state, they tax you on your profit, on your gain. It's just, yeah, it's not nice. I think it's like, I think it's up to 2% of the sale price, but they withhold that. So Stu, we were talking about this last week. If you sell your house here in New Jersey and you say I'm going to move to Florida, they withhold a portion to hold back on the taxes, right? So let's say it's like 2% of the sale price. So they withhold that, and then when you go to file your taxes the next year, you have to file at a New Jersey, like out of state New Jersey tax form. I forget what it's called. And you got to pay those taxes back to New Jersey. Like, really? Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
above and beyond like regular capital gains tax? Because you guys pay
Uh-huh.
capital gains, don't you? Or is that it?
No, that's New Jersey. Yeah. So capital gains, I think you're exempt. I forget what the amount is, what you're exempt to, but like the regular federal capital gains. Oh, but no, not New Jersey. No, you got to pay New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
You want to leave here. I think New York is the same thing too. Yeah, it's
Right.
stupid. Stupid. Terry, I live in Pasadena, 1 foot from the devastation. Oh my God, Terry, I'm so sorry. I hope you're okay. We're impatiently waiting to put house on market and move. Can't wait to get out of Long Beach because the increase in crime, drugs, homeless. Oh, I'm sorry. Lisa. I hope you can get out of there. The ash and smoke covers everything still. Our pets are suffering, coughing. Oh, I'm so sorry. I pray for you. I pray for all you guys out there. I hope you can get out of that. Sandrick, welcome back. Our fire insurance went down from $4,200 a year to $1,200 a year by moving to a new construction home. NFIP from $1,200 to $800, moving from intercoastal waterway at 6 feet to a Johns River bluff at 20 feet. Yeah, it's amazing how your insurance is affected by just moving, just making those slight changes. So do you guys have insurance issues up there, Stu?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean, I would say we do, because if you look at our West Coast, right, they're on the ocean, they're on the mountains. Where we have insurance issues, where it's becoming more problematic, is I always point to the condos. Some of the newer condos are built so poorly, just building materials, etc. So they're starting to get to a point where windows need replacing, like big infrastructure pieces need replacing. And so now you have some properties where insurers don't even want to touch them. And so that becomes problematic because it obviously impacts your value if you're trying to sell. All this stuff has to be disclosed. And so, and I think that is only going to get worse as let's say the next 5 or 10 years, because there's just so many properties that they're new enough now that they don't require the big maintenance, big ticket issues. But that's going to change in the next, again, 5-10 years, I would think. I mean, where we have issues with insurance is like tenanted properties because of the liability and the risk.
yeah.
Like if I look at my own personal home insurance compared to if I had a tenant living in my basement apartment, my insurance would double.
Wow.
And I think my insurance now is about 4,500 a year Canadian.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think I'm paying half of that. I think I'm paying around 2,000. Yeah, maybe 2,000, 2,200 a year or something like that. God, 4,500, that's a lot. So Clark has a question for you, Stu. How did the Canada fires that happened a while back affect the housing market?
Well, the ones on the West Coast, I mean, that seems to be an every year thing. I think they had some of them. They had flooding in Alberta, but the ones in the West Coast, people are always. I think what it does is it makes people leery of moving there. But if anyone has not been to BC, it's one of the best places on the world to go to. It's like living in a rainforest. So it's beautiful. And as far as Canadians go, it's the only province where you can find places to live without snow. So, so like if you go to
Wow.
particular parts of BC, like Victoria, like they have gorgeous weather and, you know, you can still live in a nice climate. So it hasn't really deterred people from moving. It just, I think there's just a bit of sensitivity to where's the right place to pick. And I think if you know the areas specifically, there's just certain areas that are more susceptible to the fires.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you get fires like every year, like we see like in California?
Yeah, every summer BC has fires. It's very much BC and Alberta. They're connected to the Rocky Mountains, so we're just on the north side of the border, and so it goes
Right.
all the way up the coast. But it seems like although it's been getting closer and closer to a city like Vancouver, but it is usually more in the outskirts,
Right.
a little bit more rural communities. But yeah, it happens every year, and it always has.
Yeah. Oh, it's a shame. We actually had some fires here in Jersey. It was like we had 3 months of no rain. And all of a
Right.
sudden, like the mountains around us, like you see these fires popping up. We're like, what the heck? We never had that before. I mean, maybe in South Jersey, Pine Barren area, we've seen them, but here in North Jersey, not like we did this past fall. It was bad. Um, but
Well, the fires
scary
that,
stuff.
we experienced, we actually did experience some in Ontario. Maybe that's what the question was geared towards. We had them in northern Ontario, and it was so.
Right.
I don't recall ever experiencing it, but I remember it was not this past summer, but the one before. And I mean, you could taste the burning in the air. Like when you're walking around, it was cloudy and stuff, and it's not
Uh,
something we're used to. And we drove to South Carolina to where my in-laws live, and all the way through to Pittsburgh, you could taste it like everywhere. Like
yeah.
it was pretty nasty.
Yeah, I remember that. That was what, 2 years ago? It was like 2
Yeah,
years ago, 2 summers
yeah,
ago. It was in June, May or June that yeah, I
yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. Oh. Terry says, "I'm a registered nurse here, but I don't ever see myself able to buy anything except the tires on my car." I'm sorry, Terry. Can I move there? No, but if you need an agent, I can help you out. Just, click the link in the description. I work in Santa Barbara, but now housing is more expensive. I would love to buy a little home. It seems like a fantasy. Don't give up hope, Terry. Listen, I don't want to give people the impression that, we're all screwed. You're never going to be able to buy a house again. I don't want to give that message. I am acknowledging that, yeah, it sucks. It's hard, this housing market, but it's not impossible. I've been hearing from quite a few of my viewers who have been reaching out and saying that, hey, I was able to get a house, got my offer accepted. I'm closing next week. It's still possible. You just got to you got to focus, put your head down and focus on getting everything in order to make that happen. So that's my story. Oregon has fires every year. Eugene gets smoked out. Yeah, that's just, you never think about fires. We're so used to like being on the East Coast of the States. We're so used to the hurricanes and nor'easters. Like we get nor'easters here, up here in Jersey and like up in New England. Um, and then, the hurricanes hit in Florida, like, you don't think about fires, it's so funny. You're so welcome, Terry. Be happy to help. Pet Brett, BC and several Canadian cities are a carbon copy of what happened in LA. Nobody wants to admit what living in nature really means. I mean, it's a risk. It's definitely a risk. But, like you said, the Stu said, there's beautiful country up there. So why aren't builders building starter homes? That's a really good question. That's like the question of the century. I think they need to be incentivized to be building these starter homes because since the 90s here in the States, Stu, I don't know if you have this up in Canada, but like builders were building what we call the McMansions, these huge, 4,000 plus square foot homes. And to this day, I feel like they're still building them. There are communities throughout the country though that you're seeing maybe like 2,000, 2,500 square foot homes, but like not the old starter homes, like 1,500 square feet, like small little Nice little 3-bedroom house, 1 bath, just to help somebody get started, like they did like post World War II, you know? But, do you have that too? Did you find it like the builders up there were building these McMansions?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of that stuff where bigger homes came, but I would still think like at builders, I think because we have some in some of the newer construction, call them cookie cutter subdivisions, they can build more houses on smaller lots. But again, it seems like they're doing like townhouses, or they'll
Okay.
do what we call stacked townhouses, which are kind of small mid-rise condo type buildings. And it's like
Mhm.
blocks of, let's say it might look like a detached house, but there's actually 4 units in it. And so
Oh,
there's like a lower unit, maybe a couple of units in the middle, and then maybe one on the top.
okay.
So, but it's yeah, like buying first time home buyers, it's because there's such a gap. Like we've never seen gaps here. Like if you're going to start out in a condo, which is what most people have been taught to do,
Yep.
the gap now from buying a condo to a house has never been bigger. It's massive. It's like it can be like $500,000-600,000. So it's
Wow.
that jump is almost impossible for most people to manage unless they're getting family money, the bank of mom and dad, or some
Uh-huh.
kind of an inheritance. That's really what people are banking on. That's what's happening more often than not, to be truthful.
Yep. Oh, yeah, same here, same here. So what is the average price for a condo in Toronto?
In Toronto, it's down probably in the low fives, like maybe
Okay,
525, about 525,000, depending on the neighborhood.
okay.
Um, but yeah, like, but the average house price is very different. It's more like a million one.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Check this out, Stu. Clark's got a question. We were just talking about it. Does Canada implement HOAs? If so, what are you seeing price-wise monthly in them? Get ready, Clark. Hold on to your hat. Stu, tell him.
Yeah, we have what was called condo fees, which is same as homeowner association fees. I would say on a condo with, a bare bones condo, not a lot of amenities to them, you're probably looking at about $500 a month. If you want something, and that's first, and it's all based on your square footage, right? Like how big the property is. So if you get a bigger property, and if you do have any amenities like swimming pools, exercise rooms, concierge, that sort of stuff, you're looking at $1,000 plus a month in a lot of cases. So it's a very expensive proposition to have. And I also did see Clark, I think it was Clark that mentioned he was mentioning about wartime style bungalows being built. There's been some proposals from our provincial government to create more
Mhm.
affordable housing, but they've had issues with doing backdoor deals where the land had to be given back because it was all going to be done on protected lands. We have a
Oh,
lot of environmentally protected land in Ontario,
yeah.
and it's going to be a real fight with the citizens. And like I said, there's so many layers and different agendas between governments and the
Mhm.
citizens in Ontario that affordable housing, I don't even know what that means anymore because there's no clear definition for it.
You're right.
Um, and it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it is. Clark says, "Take me out." I told you, Clark. I told you, hang on to your hats because it's not cheap. So, I mean, oh my god. Well, it's funny, you talk about the federal land you have up there. They were talking about that too, where they wanted to build more homes, on federal land here in the States, but it's the same thing. We're gonna a lot of it's environmentally protected. The land is also located in parts of the country where people are saying, who's going to live there because there's no jobs. They need to be closer to cities. So I don't know. I mean, that was something that Trump had talked about. And even his opponent, Kamala Harris, said the same thing. Well, let's open up this federal land, but I don't think it's going to be that easy to do. I really don't.
Yeah, some of
Um,
ours too was on floodplain. So you talk about insurance issues. Now you're on floodplains and there's
oh,
all
forget it.
these environmental issues. So people are, yeah, it's just like it's a real mess. It needs real leadership is what it needs. All of these people need to get together. And I think it can be sorted out. It's just the different agendas for every level of government
Mm,
is just muddying the waters. And it's
yeah.
a challenge.
Definitely, definitely. As agents, we also suffer along the buyers. Don't lose your faith. Be always prepared. Bank pre-approval. Be flexible in your wants and desires, and stay connected to your agent. Wanda, thank you for sharing that message. I do want to say, and I posted in my community post about an hour or so, 2 hours ago, before we came on tonight, and I want to put this message out there. So, Stu, here, we have this whole situation with the National Association of Realtors. We had that settlement.
Oh
Now
yeah.
we have to do the buyer agent agreement, all that. Okay. So I want to say it here. Anybody that's watching and you're thinking about buying a house and you're questioning the buyer agency agreement, I had a few people reach out to me that were working with real estate agents, working with realtors. They signed buyer agency agreements with them only to never hear from the agents. They talked to them a couple times and talked about some houses they wanted to see, but then over time it was crickets. They'd reach out to the agent wouldn't get back to them. And these people felt stuck because they signed a buyer agency agreement. So they're waiting for that agreement to expire before going to search for another realtor. And I said to them, no, you can cancel that agreement at any time if you're unhappy. You just have to send something in writing. So I'm telling everybody now that's watching this, if you're in this situation, that real estate agent did not explain to you that you could cancel that agreement, that's a problem. So I'm telling you now, you can cancel your buyer agency agreement at any time as long as you put it in writing and you copy their broker on it as well. I was so angry when I heard this. These poor people lost out on time because those realtors like bailed on them and they thought they were stuck because they had this signed agreement and they couldn't go somewhere else. So it's my TED talk for tonight. And for the other real estate agents out there, please do the right thing. Explain that process. Explain that to these people who are signing these agreements. They deserve to know that. You have to be transparent. So let's just stop doing that. Okay. I had to say it because I was so frustrated when I heard that. Like, why aren't realtors explaining that to people? This is why we got in a lawsuit to begin with. because realtors weren't being honest. And now here we are in this situation. You're having to sign a buyer agency agreement and you're not explaining to them that, you can get out of that. You could totally cancel that agreement. Did they call or email the brokerage? The contract is not with us, it's with the brokerage. That's horrible. Yes, you're right. And that's what I tell them. No, they never reached out, Clark. They never reached out to the agent or the brokerage. And so I said to them that absolutely, you emailed the agent and the broker. You're terminating the agreement because of whatever. I don't like you. You're not providing the service that I need. Whatever reason, you're moving in a different direction. You can always get out of it. But I just felt so bad because those people lost so much time trying to find a house. So that's all I'm going to say, Wanda. Absolutely. Thank you, Wanda. I so appreciate you being here. Yeah. So didn't mean to go off on that tangent, but I had to put it out there because I was just so aggravated. So Stu,
Yes.
if these tariffs go through, you'll still be my friend, right? You're not going to hate me?
Of course not. No, I mean, we always look at it like, actually, the sentiment here in Canada is kind of funny. It's like, no, we love our neighbors. We consider
Yeah,
like
thank
America's like our favorite cousins.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just the government. It's just we don't like we don't like leaders and politicians when they do things like this. But I think that would be the same for any
Yes,
country. No people are going to
absolutely.
not like the government in their decisions. It has nothing to do with the people, and that's
Yeah, I
what's
know.
interesting, because there's a lot of sentiment here about buying Canadian, buy local, which is great. It's kind
Yeah,
of galvanized people, but it's like, just because if an American company has a presence here in Canada, they employ Canadian people, so we want to support those products as well,
right.
and those sorts of services. But no, I
Yeah,
mean, I have family in South Carolina. I love going to America, but like I said, people are mostly frustrated with just the fact that their neighbor, it's like, they say, what's the best thing between you and a neighbor? A fence. It's like, most of us want to be friendly with our neighbors. We don't want a fence. Like, we don't want that. And
right.
we don't have control of it. So it's frustrating, but I'm sure we're all going to get through it, and
Absolutely.
it'll work out the way it's supposed to work out.
I think a month from now at this, my hope is that this will all be put to bed, nothing happens, and we can all go about our lives and things won't get even more expensive. So,
Here's
for
hoping.
all of us, and that that your economy up there thrives, I mean, that just that's disturbing to hear what you said, that how it's going to affect your employment up there. That's not good.
I
That
think a
is not
lot of
good.
other thing, people may not be aware of this, but like a lot of your beyond bordering states to Canada, is a lot of the energy to the United States is from Canada. So
Yeah, I know.
like
Yep.
massive amounts of like oil, like that's where we've
Yep.
made mistakes. We don't refine our own oil, so we send it all to the US. But we have
Yeah,
more natural resources, more natural minerals, far
that's
more than the
right.
United States, and it's very short-sighted. But like I said, I hope it's just posturing and it's all for naught.
Yep. I have a feeling it is. It's just going to be more for posturing and, him, putting it out there, the threats. I think that's what it is, but who am I? I'm just, middle-aged real estate agent in New Jersey, I don't make the rules, although I wish I could, but hey, it's all good. So how are we on the hey Jen, do you see the comment from the one from A. Sandrick about that one? Disasters, the FEMA 50% rule going to destitute the coastal middle and upper middle class. Soon only very rich and very poor will be able to live there. I hope that's not true, but that would be really sad. Let's see. All right, I think we are good. We could easily use our own oil. Look at Alaska. We could. Yeah, we have a lot of resources here too. We need to be tapping into. School year Canadians get out of a black on. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I want to share with everybody Stu's channel because I got to hook up my fellow YouTube buddies. So if you guys are interested in learning about Toronto, please go check out Stu's channel, Living in Toronto with Stuart Nodell. He's got some really good content, so I highly recommend. Thanks for the sound effect, Jen. Jen with the sound effects. Oh, speaking of Jen, you all know Jen's my little producer behind the scenes putting these comments up. Tomorrow is my buddy's birthday. And I like to wish Jen a very happy birthday. And thank you so much for everything you do for me. Woo! Happy birthday, Jen. Oh my God. So anyway, also, if you need a real estate agent referral, click the link down below. I didn't put the website up. Sorry. I'm slacking tonight. Click the link down below, jackie-baker.com. Fill out the forms. I will get back to you. I'll get you connected to an agent in your market. So, Stu, thank you so much. My friend to the north. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Jackie. It's always a pleasure to come on and speak with you about, I guess, life in real estate and all the craziness that we deal with.
Absolutely. So I would love to have you back again. And hopefully the next time we won't be dealing with all this political nonsense.
That would be great. Yeah, exactly. No one wants to talk politics, right?
Yeah, I know. I get a little tired of it. Anyway, all right, Stu, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for being here tonight and catching up on the usual real estate stuff we talk about. And I will see everybody next Monday night. Have a great week.